Hey everybody, Steven here, and today doing a review for the HDMI sync box and lighting kit from Loycco here. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. L-O-Y-C-C-O. Company reached out to me, asked if I would be interested in this product. Essentially, it's like the Govee Immersion, and I've done videos on that, except it doesn't use a camera. With this one, you actually get the HDMI box with it, so you plug whatever the thing is, whether it's a console or DVD player, whatever it may be, into the box, and so it's getting the information from that versus a camera. So that was the big thing that had me interested in this product. With this, you have the 55 to 65 inch one, and then I think it's like 65 to 75 or 75 to 85. Like they have another size up. Price with this, $95 off of Amazon with a $10 off coupon right now. If you go to their website, it's $170. So I recommend going to Amazon to get this. I don't know what the price of the larger kit is, but like I said, mine is the 55 to 65 inch TV size that they recommend for this. So we're gonna get this thing unboxed here, and then I'm gonna get it set up, and then I'm gonna spend a little bit of time with it, and then we'll come back. I'll actually just do voiceover work, so I'll actually showcase this working both with the PlayStation, and then hopefully I can get this set up so that my TV, when it's running Netflix, will actually utilize this. Only concern I do have is that whether you can actually just run it off of the TV plugging directly into this, because mine's the Roku TV. Well, it's the TCL where it has the Roku built into it. So I don't know if I can actually just connect this to that via the HDMI cable. We'll see, but let's get this thing unlocked or unboxed. So here they have different modes with it, of course, that you can use. I will showcase that as well, but user manual, sync box here, and then, so here's our first one. And so this looks like, is this the HDMI box? Yes. So get that right there. HDMI in, and then TV out, data output. So data output goes to this other box. So we have this one right here too. And then power mode, and then on this side, data. So a lot of cables with this is the other thing that I'm seeing that could be a potential downside. If you're using the Govee Immersion, it's the same thing though, because you have the box and then the camera. Essentially, one of these, I believe it'd be this, right, would be replacing the camera. We have our USB cable here, USB to USB. Then, let's see what we got. I'm assuming this is the power adapters. Yep, you're gonna have two of them. Keep that in mind, right? Because you have to power both boxes with this. And then let's see, underneath it should be the Lightstrip. The other thing that had me interested with this, oh, we got some clips too. I'll actually put this here. This is different. I like this coating on this. So slide this out. So if we're looking at this, we still have the tape on the backside, so you can tape this in, but this having the coating over it, I'm hoping protects it a little bit more versus just exposed LED light strips, which some other products have. And I don't know if this is going to perhaps help actually diffuse the light as well, with this being white versus clear, so we will see with that, because some of them, and Govee's a little bit like this, not too bad. Some other ones that I've used have been like this, where they're just the LED RGB light strips. Because they don't have anything that does diffuse the light, when you turn it on, you see the focal point of whatever the color of the light is. Then we have our HDMI cable right here as well, and we have some clips if you need the clips for the back of the TV. So I'm gonna get this thing set up. I've done this a couple times now. Shouldn't take long. My guess is probably anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. And then, like I said, I'm gonna spend some time with this. Actually run through, not only I have to download the app and the different things that offers as well, because I think on the box it even lets you know a little bit too. So code for that. Where is it? So sync screen, sync music, voice control, app control, colorful lighting. You can, they have a DIY mode, set timers, music mode. I'm assuming it's pretty similar to Govee. Govee does have a very good app, so I'm hoping the functionality is just as good as that, and I'm assuming they're going to have different presets that you can use as well. So let me get this thing set up. Let's cut over now and I will showcase this thing working. All right, so all set up. This is a time lapse of me setting everything up. Took about 15 to 20 minutes. The only issue I ran into is I needed an extra extension cable because I have so many cables over by the TV now, so I needed to grab another one. Other than that, pretty simple. The grooves in the TV around the panel fit perfectly for actually lining this out. So that was a surprise, and I like the way that that turned out just because it's a really easy, nice fit with this. This is the TCL 65-inch Roku built into it TV, and so this is me just showcasing what this looks like. If the camera looks a little bit off, I have warp stabilization working in post with Premiere Pro, and that has a tendency to keep whatever's in focus stabilized, but the back, it'll almost look like it's vibrating, but that's why. But the grooves here, it fit so perfect for the RGB light strips. It was just enough length. I like that. And it actually made it so that these cables that you see connecting one RGB light strip to the other, I don't really need to do anything with them because of the angle that we sit to watch TV. We don't see them at all. So just a great fit with this. The tape is similar to what I find on the Govee products, so it's like 3M tape. It worked really, really well. These things are pretty solid once they're on there. After this, I only needed to get everything set up with the boxes and then get them connected and everything like that. And what we're going to shift over to now is actually looking at the app and everything you find in there. And then I'll talk about the difference in a little bit with if you want this to emulate the colors that are on the screen, you need to plug that thing into the HDMI device, and I'll showcase the PlayStation. But let's go ahead and click over now to just what you find in the app. All right, so the app looks exactly like the Smart Life app. I mean, the build of it is exactly the same, but it's like their own version. So instead of running it through that, you have to run it with this separate app. Once you open that up, the first tab here, you can see all of the different scenes that you can actually run through with this. So I'm not going to showcase all of these, but you can see how they actually are a little bit different depending on what you want. There are a lot of them, so I do like seeing that because that provides the versatility. What I like here is you get a small sample. If you look at what that's actually showcasing, you get a small sample of what it's going to look like when you actually click on whatever the scenery is. And it's spaced out with this, so you can do your own if you want to, that I'll look at here in a little bit. And then you have scenery, live, festival, and mood. And then you can add your own as well, and we'll look at that here in a second. This is a video of the game Subnautica Below Zero. This is actually my video that I'm showcasing with this. And you can see how, depending on what you're watching, you could actually choose one that potentially matches the tone, the mood of whatever you're wanting to view at the time, if you don't want to go the route of trying to just emulate what's on screen through the other HDMI box with this. I do like the different options that you will find with this though, and like I said, there are a lot here. So in terms of options that you would find with just the presets, I think this gets a big thumbs up for me, and then the ability to actually make different ones if you want to. Now, once we get over to the add section here where you can create your own, you'll see all the different types of lighting effects that you can incorporate into this. So rainbow type effects, trail type effects, gradient, jump, breathe, flash, all these different things. And so a lot of customization is what you're going to find with that. And of course, I'm sure they could pack this thing with even more presets if they wanted to, but that would maybe potentially be overwhelming. There's already a lot to start, but you can be as creative with this as you want. And so I do like choosing the different colors here, and then you can actually find, all right, here's the brightness that I want. What direction do I want it to go? Do I want it to go to the left or to the right first? You can name this if you want to. What's the speed at which you're going to do? There's just so much customization. And so that's going to be the big plus in terms of what I would find with this compared to Govee. Very similar here. Theirs is just a different app, so it's a different approach. I do think it is user friendly. I do like that part. And so there we go. I just added a new scene for this, and so you can create as many as you want to. After that, you have music, and so this is listening to whatever music that you're playing, and then with that, you can change the sensitivity here, but it's gonna have its own light pattern with this. And if you look at the top here, it says the lights follow the rhythm of the music collected by the device microphone. where if you go over to the other side, the app mode, it's going to be based off of the sound that's coming from your phone. Now with this, you can't edit these is what I've noticed. So these are just set. So the only thing you are able to adjust is the sensitivity to that, but they have their own particular light pattern, and you can't create your own as well. So I thought that was a little bit odd that you could do it with the other things, but not with this one. I do think, I mean, this could be a software thing, right? Down the road, if they could add that to this, I think it would make this a little bit better, where you could create your own, whether that's for local mode or for app mode. But with app mode, you have music, rhythm, game, and then romantic. The game one here, but again, it's going to be based off if you're making a noise or not. So this is picking up what's on my phone. So I'm actually trying to create noise now, filming this so that it would actually react to something. Otherwise, it's not really going to do anything. It's just going to kind of sit there until there is a noise. But this could be really great for if you're playing music in the house or anything like that, you want it to react to that. And then switching over now to the light bulb at the bottom. So this is the control for the strip. You get to, and you can see me messing up my phone right there, you can actually choose a whole color, and Govee has this as well, but you get to choose certain sections on the light strip, the individual ones there, or zones, right? And then change the color to whatever you want it to be, and then it's going to update and be reflective of that. So you get to be creative with this, which is pretty cool. Totally forgot at this point though that the commercials were running, so right now it's just showcasing that. But if you look at the circle there, it's, when I'm clicking on it, it's blending the colors together, or it's going to just leave them as completely separate. And then they have the combinations here. So you have color, color card, and then combinations, and they have their own presets with this. So lots of things that this actually has with it, which is really, really cool. You can create plans with this. You can actually sync the Lightstrip locations. Mess with this a little bit. Not something I've spent too much time with, and I actually haven't spent a ton of time with the Alexa as well. That's just not something that I typically do. I don't use voice to command light strips like this. I like that it has the option for people, but it's just not something that I personally do. And then at this point, you can see I'm going to go through a handful more of the different color options that this actually has, just to kind of showcase them. I like the Christmas Eve one. That one's really cool. And then we were going to jump over now to looking at the HDMI box. So with the HDMI box, this is where it's different than Govee. There's no camera with this. That's an upside, I think. But plugging this into that, you need an HDMI source. And with that, once you plug it in, it's going to, and I don't know how it does the zones, they don't really explain that, but whatever is on screen, it's then trying to mimic and emulate these colors. I'm assuming that there are zones, because you can kind of shift the camera around a little bit and it starts to figure out what the dominant color is there, and you'll have zones. But let's go ahead and switch over now and actually look at what that would look like with Horizon Forbidden West. All right, so we have the PlayStation 5 here. I actually had it kind of shifted over by the TV. I end up moving that later so that I can let the light kind of disperse a little bit more. Again though, this is trying to pick up on certain areas on screen, and then it's mimicking those colors. So overall, I think this is pretty awesome because you don't need the camera. So there's nothing hanging off the top of your TV like the Govee has. But with that, there's no customization to this. I'm wondering if they're going to allow that down the road. So you control nothing with this. So there's nothing that you can adjust in the app. You can't change the brightness. You can't change the color temperature. You can't change the saturation. These are things that you do get with Govee that this does not have. I am hoping down the road that maybe through the app they allow for that. I don't know how complicated that is though, because you're running two separate boxes. You're running the kind of light sync box, which is for what you're going to do through the app. And then you're running this one, which is going to be for whatever the HDMI input is. Another downside that I found is there's no way for me to connect my smart TV to this. I ran an HDMI cable from this to my TV, but it's not trying to send a signal out. So there's no way if you have a smart TV for it to pick up on this. You have to run an HDMI device through it. So if you do have a smart TV, that's going to be a downside. Where Govee, you don't need to worry about that because it's just using a camera to pick up on whatever's on screen. And that comes with its own downsides. Again, there's a camera there. Looking at the camera itself, like trying to make sure that it's picking up on the right zones that you want. But it does come with its own set of upsides. So this is going to be like most products where I end up reviewing them like this. It's like you have to kind of weigh these pros and cons and figure out what's something that's going to best suit the need that you have. With this, the HDMI 2.0 is okay, because for most people, they're probably not going to be running the PlayStation or Xbox 4K 120 hertz HDR. So you would lose potentially the HDR with that. I'm running with this the 4K 60 hertz HDR, and it's running fine. I'm not having any issues with it. This scene right here, I was trying to just really test where are the zones at, how is it trying to pick up on whatever's on screen, and then like I said, really emulate those colors here. And this is where if you did have the control through an app, you could adjust, again, saturation, brightness levels, the color temperature here, to perhaps nail this down a little bit better. It still looks pretty good in person. My camera isn't really doing it justice, but I think it could be slightly better if you had that control here. Hanging out in a red bush or the tall grass there too, you see the difference where it's like, oh yeah, now it's red versus being blue at night. So it's doing a really good job at the color replication, but I still see this as a downside of there's not as much control. And I think with any product, the more control I have over whatever it is, I think it's going to be slightly better. This still does add a level of immersion with this that I just think the light strips that do this, regardless of whether it's Govee or this product, it's just a really cool experience where you can bring that to whatever the content that you're consuming is, whether it's video games or watching a movie or something like that. It just brings this cool experience overall to it. So I'm going to let these videos roll out a little bit longer. I do want to just kind of cover in general my thoughts on this just to kind of package it a little bit better. So as a product, I think if you were looking at the price tag that they have on their website, I think it's too expensive. So if you're going to buy this for the $160 or $200, I think that's too expensive. If you go to Amazon and you can get it for like $85 to $100, I still think it's worth it because, again, it is comparable to Govee and their pricing structure. It just depends at that point, what's the experience that you want. If you don't want the camera on top of it, you just want to have something where it's really, you just plug in the device and like, it's more like a set it and forget it in terms of the immersion lighting that you have with this, then this is going to be the product to go with. If you want more customization for this particular thing, then yeah, you're probably going to want to go with the Govee Immersion, both in terms of being able to pick up on the sound from whatever device, the TV or your phone and app. They both do that. They both have a high level of customization with the regular lighting that you can do with it. So not the immersion portion of it. They both are really good in that regard. I think they're both user friendly in that regard as well. I would say maybe this, in terms of the customization, is a little bit easier to actually work with the app, but not by a large margin. Like I said, they're pretty comparable with that. So overall, I'm happy with both of those. But again, it just depends on what you're going to use this for. So hopefully this helps you with your purchasing decision if you're looking at this. I will have a link for this in the description if you want to pick it up. If there's anything that I didn't cover also, just let me know in the comment section. I will be sure to answer that for you there. Overall, me personally, I'm really happy with this, especially with not wanting a camera on the TV in my bedroom. We have a DVD player in the room. I can also run Netflix and stuff like that through the PlayStation. So it's not that big of a deal that I can't connect the TV directly to this, the smart TV, because like I said, I can just run those same apps through the PlayStation and it still looks really, really good with that. So again, something that you would need to consider potentially, though, if you're only going to be running a smart TV off of this, it's probably not going to be one of the things that's going to work because you can't directly connect it to it for the immersion feature here. Well, that's going to be it for this one, everybody. If you liked the video, hit the like button for me. If you want to continue to follow along with all my content, hit the subscribe button for me. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.